1990, Timothy Rosinski's research concluded that we improve students' reading when we provide them with tangible cues to phrase boundaries in text. His research is the basis for the phrase text lesson. Within this lesson, teachers can focus fluency instruction using real-world examples. By real-world, we mean that the students learn strategies for chunking phrases together within stories that they read. With some fluency building strategies, high-frequency phrases are pulled out and learned individually. However, in a phrase text lesson, the reader learns the concept of building phrases within a text. After practicing these strategies, students will be able to construct their own phrases in what they read and not just learn certain high-frequency phrases that may or may not be in the passages they read. The phrase text lesson is done weekly and is divided into 2 days. On day 1, students are given passages that have phrase cues already built in. Teachers can discuss with students the definition of a phrase, reasons and benefits of phrasing, and strategies for chunking phrases together within a passage. Within a small group setting, this passage can be read and explored by the group. On day 2, the students receive the same passage, except this time the phrase cues have been removed. As students read the passage again, they are required to chunk the phrases together without the benefit of the phrase cues. As they progress through these passages over weeks, they will learn that there aren't hard and fast rules for phrasing. Some rules should be followed, but there are many different ways to use phrasing within a passage. Here, we will look at a demonstration of the phrase text lesson. Both days will be illustrated. Are we doing phrase text? Do we remember what a phrase is? What is a phrase? Alex, what's a phrase?
It's a group of letters that make
What is it, Maddie? You're close. You got the right idea.
It's a little group of words that are put together in a sentence, so it's not like all smushed together.
Kind of. And what do we do with that group of words when we're reading, Aaron?
Pause like in the middle.
And then when we read the phrase, what do?
We put them all together.
We just read them all together, right? So as you can see in this title, what is the title of this? Jasmine, what's the title?
A fish that shoots his dinner.
A fish that shoots his dinner. We want to remember in the first sentence, for instance, it starts off with, in the warm waters of Southeast Asia lives a small fish that gets his food by shooting insects. Now tell me, if we look at the first 2 phrases, which one's easier to understand? If I read it, in the warm waters of Southeast Asia, or if I read it, in the warm waters of Southeast Asia, which one was easier, the first one or the second one, Aaron?
The second one.
Why was it easier, you think? Because I phrased it, right? Yeah. So remember, when we read these, we want to chunk those words together and just read them. We don't want to read in the warm waters. We want to just read in the warm waters of Southeast Asia. Okay? Okay, let's start one sentence apiece. We'll start with Alex.
In the warm waters of Southeast Asia lives a small fish that gets his food by shooting insects.
Okay, Aaron.
He's called the archer fish.
Okay, Jasmine.
He scouts about for a good meal.
When he sees an insect perch on an overhanging branch, the archer fish gets set to strike.
Fantastic.
He sticks his mouth out of the water. He takes aim and fires a drop of water at his target. If he misses, he tries again until he hits his mark.
When the insect drops into the water, the archer fish gobbles it up.
And the archer isn't a fussy eater. He will shoot at the flies, moths, and bees and spiders. He has even been known to knock a small lizard into the water.
The archer is quite a small fish.
He's only 4 to 6 inches long. But for such a small fish, he can shoot.
Try it.
Surprisingly far. And his aim is very good.
From 3 to 5 feet away. The archer fish almost always hits his mark on the first try.
He can shoot a single drop of water as far as 12 feet. But his aim isn't so good when he's that far away.
When he's that far away. Okay, good. Okay, now remember, on day 1, we read this passage when it was phrased. That means all the phrases were divided up. Today, you want to divide the phrases yourself in your head. Now, one important thing to remember is the phrases that were on the sheet from yesterday, the divided up phrases, you do not have to read them exactly as they were divided up on the page. Just when you read, you want to figure out what makes the most sense and how you would divide up the phrases and take a short pause between the phrases and then a slightly longer pause between the sentences. Okay? Let's start with Brianna. Nice and loud, please.
In the warm waters of Southeast Asia lives a small fish that gets his food by shooting insects.
Logan,
It's
read
called-
each sentence.
It's called the archer fish. Of course, he doesn't really shoot arrows.
The archer fish spits water at his target.
Now that may seem quite harmless to you, but one drop of water can stun a small insect long enough for the archer fish to eat it up.
Okay, as Logan just did, remember one important aspect of figuring out where the phrases go. If you got words like to and for and in and at, those usually start phrases, okay? Like in that last sentence when he said that, but one drop of water can stun a small insect. A is another word that typically would start a phrase long enough for the archer fish. For usually starts a phrase, and then to eat it up. To typically will start a phrase. Okay, go ahead, Bradley.
When the archer fish goes hunting, he swims close to the top of the water.
He scouts about for a good meal.
When he sees an insect,
Nice and loud, baby.
when he sees an insect perched on the top of an overhanging branch, the archer fish gets set to strike. He strikes.
Sticks.
He sticks his mouth out of the water. He takes and fires a drop of water at his target.
If he misses, he tries again until he hits his mark.
When the insect drops into the water, the archer gobbles it up.
To sum up, there are several advantages of the phrase text lesson. It can be multi-leveled. Any text from any book at any level can be phrased. With the unlimited availability of phrased passages, as students improve their fluency, you can make the passages progressively more challenging. In these lessons, students learn how to phrase and not just phrases. When they explore strategies for phrase chunking in the context of a reading passage, they assume skills that can transfer over to any other reading. The variation of approaches to phrase text lessons are significant. It can be done as a small group. Lessons can be recorded and reviewed by students and teachers. Phrasing strategies can be done collaboratively. The list goes on and on. The preparation time and implementation of phrase text lessons are straightforward and convenient. and the results are easily and readily measurable by. Thank you for listening to my presentation. The real me will be happy to answer any questions.